Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board course MA142 Geometry and the Art of Design in the fall semester. This is your instructor speaking. We're about to take off on an academic adventure, and we ask that you please fasten your seatbelts at this time and get ready to learn many new facets of both mathematics and art. Please turn on all the personal electronic devices you might want to use during the course, including laptops and cell phones. Closed-mindedness about mathematics is prohibited for the duration of the course. Thank you for choosing the Fashion Institute of Technology and MA142 Geometry and the Art of Design. Enjoy your experience learning with us. So here's our schedule for the semester. As you can see, we have 7 learning modules and 2 exams. We start with the introduction to make sure everyone's up and running, and this is followed by the second module on abstract and geometric art. Then we get a little more mathematical in module 3. We talk about polygons and how they fit together to make regular and semi-regular tilings. Modules 4 and 5 focus on symmetry, point, line, and plane symmetry. Module 6 is on the genius of M.C. Escher, and Module 7 is on the classic topic of the golden ratio. And this is followed by the final exam. So the second module on abstract art talks about various artists' use of geometry in their art, and here's a prime example from exactly 100 years ago, Malevich's White on White. Now this may not look like much, and it's certainly not here for its technical expertise, but it was revolutionary at the time. It held, and this artist held, that geometric forms as supreme to anything representational. And I think of this as, you know, if all representational art was gone, what would be left? If there was a nuclear blast, what would be left? Some people say the cockroaches. I say geometric forms. Here's a contemporary of Malevich's, Vasily Kandinsky, who actually became much more famous than Malevich, although he came a little after. But a lot of the ideas here are the same. The forms are very rigid, actually with the exception of one. There's like a rebel element in there, and that's part of what excites me about this picture. There's one element that was drawn freehand, and that's interesting to me. In fact, a lot of times, say when we're discussing symmetry, something will be perfectly symmetrical except for one thing that's there on purpose, that's making things interesting. If you're getting into the field of graphic design, or if you're just interested in it, you might want to keep this name Rodchenko on the top of your mind, because this man essentially invented the field of graphic design. This collage here, this photograph, and put together with these geometric forms, is a nice example of the kinds of stuff that he was doing just about 100 years ago, and really started mass producing fine art, and that sort of thing hadn't been done before. And making posters and advertisements and book covers and these things was a new thing, or using fine arts in those kinds of objects was a new thing. And Rodchenko was the inventor of graphic design in that sense. Module 3 talks about how polygons fit together, how regular polygons fit together to make regular tilings and semi-regular tilings. This is when you have more than one type of regular polygon in a repetitive pattern. Examples of tilings can be found all over the place. Very interesting ones can be found at the Metropolitan Museum in the new Islamic art galleries. There are examples of all kinds of patterns, and many of these patterns can be analyzed for their symmetry. In modules 4 and 5, we'll touch on these three types of symmetry: point symmetry, line symmetry, and plane symmetry. We'll learn how to use these 4 isometries: translation, rotation, reflection, and glide reflection, to analyze repetitive patterns. Here are some examples of point symmetry. And here is something that a student submitted for their project on point symmetry. Notice in that one on the left how those eyes make this asymmetric. Actually, it's got this 5-fold rotational symmetry other than those eyes, and actually that's why I chose this one as an example, because I like it like that. Examples for line symmetries can come from all over the world or anywhere. Here are some interesting examples from Native American art. Very functional stuff, and easy to analyze for its symmetry. May not look so easy right now, but in Module 4 we'll learn how to do it. Here's some student work. Module 5 focuses on plane symmetry. This one is a planar pattern from about 2,000 years ago from Egypt. Here's a more recent example. Here's something that a student turned in as part of their project. These kinds of patterns can be created with the help of computers, and that's a lot of times the best way to do it. Certainly less time consuming than to try to do it by hand. MC Escher's art varies greatly in terms of what mathematical areas is of interest, but probably the main reason why he's been talked about in this class are his tilings, like this one from 1937, the seahorses. How he thought of to make that simple shape that fits together like puzzle pieces is well, we try to study that. We learned his techniques. It's hard to say how he came up with the genius to make it look like a seahorse. That's hard to teach. Again, I can teach you the techniques of how to make something like this, but how to make it so neat and clear, well, that'll be on you. The last module is on the golden ratio, and we go all the way back to Da Vinci and actually even before that to look for examples. And here's something a student turned in. The projects can be almost anything as long as they use these ideas that we talk about in class. I just want to finish up with some examples of how professional artists and designers use geometry. This person is one of my current favorites, Oliver Eliasson. He's had shows here in New York and all over the world. This one's called, it's from a collection entitled The Listening Dimension. Now here's something a little more fashion related. The late, great McQueen, using some ideas from MC Escher. And that's where we'll end it this time. So I wish everyone a wonderful semester, and of course, as always, don't hesitate to ask me if you have any questions.